Tom Clancy, we spoke to you last weekend. You were going to run a marathon around Particksville and Ballybrown in the figure of eight, and you did it. How did you feel?
Quite stiff, but I suppose still a bit ecstatic. I think after the buzz that was seemed to be around Clorina, just feeding off the energy of people texting me, ringing me, people called to the door, people dropped money to my father. They dropped it in the letterbox. All that sort of stuff has just me in a fantastic mood. I was in a good mood anyway, thankfully, but that is just me kind of absolutely peaking now. So the sore legs are, I think, almost irrelevant, but they're still there, and I'm sure with the passage of time, all will be good with those again.
Tell me, you told me at the weekend before you did it that you'd run a couple of half marathons. So this was your first marathon,
Yeah,
and you decided to do it around your locality for Limerick Animal Welfare and for PPE for frontline staff. Okay, 21 kilometers through it, so halfway. Did you think, yeah, I'm done now, thanks very much, that's my half? Or what was the mindset like? At what point did you go, why did I do this?
I actually don't think I ever had that thought really. Maybe for a brief moment at one point, I was worried that physically my body was going to give up. Just to put into context my previous half marathons, for anyone that I'd like, only a few people would really know them, but the first one I did was they were both a Great Limerick Run. One was in 2011, I think it was. I would have been 17, and I did it in 99 minutes. And the other one was in 2015, if my memory serves correctly. I did it in 109 minutes. And the half marathon, so the first half of yesterday's full marathon, so the half marathon was done in if my memory 110 minutes. So it was gradually slower, but obviously the fact that I had to do another half marathon on top of that, it was just before that where I had the minor amount of doubt. It was, I think, around maybe 18 or 19 kilometers. I know exactly on the road where it was, but I can't remember the exact distance I was on. But my whole body just almost stopped. It felt like it was about to stop. Legs just left quad went, right thigh went, left thigh went. Uh, I just said, "Oh God, we're in trouble here," because I looked, I think I looked at my watch or whatever, and I was like, I still have another 2 hours minimum out here, no matter how fast I go, really. So I was kind of worried from there that if I'm getting cramp at that point, how am I going to make it to the end? But not everyone would have been aware. People obviously didn't see, wouldn't be connected fully on social media with me, but people, there was a support. There was a van basically with me, a support van behind me. They had all the water and Lucozade and other energy sources that I would have needed. So those things gave me a boost. But I think the biggest boost I got during the event was people coming out to the corners of their roads or to their front garden, cheering me on, but also people who actually ran with me. People, guys that play soccer with, guys with the GA club, guys just who like running or who maybe don't like running but just wanted to help out. They would have ran. There's 5 or 6 people in total. My sister and a girl up the road here, a neighbour of mine who I've been in school. I was in school with and college with. So I was pleasantly surprised to see some of those people out, but that was the biggest boost, and it carried me, I think, for a lot of it, because I mean, if you're going to run all of that by yourself, I think the mind would eventually say, I've had enough here. But thankfully, that really didn't enter my consciousness for very long. So I kept going and got there eventually.
Yeah, I see a couple of videos online. So that white van traveling on behind you, a lot of people running and shouting and waving you on. Community spirit through the roof, which is brilliant. But more importantly, money as well. So, what target did you have? And I believe you're over it. So, where are you now?
Yeah, the target. I mean, how long is a piece of string? The target just kept changing. I think when I can't remember exactly when we spoke last week, but I think it was well over 1,000 at that stage. But it initially was 1,000, and I just kept kind of nudging it up as we got towards each little milestone. I had it at 3,000 before the event started, and by the time the event finished, that was just the GoFundMe page had it exceeded 3,000. So we're at, I think, just 3,700 and a couple more, 3,720, I think, maybe the last time I checked it this afternoon. And on top of that, people were literally firing money into the van and in my letterboxes. So there was about another 600 in cash, so in excess of 4,000 euros. So That's, I think, 4,300 thereabouts, and there's probably still another trickle of people who for whatever reason are going to be a little bit late with it. But I'd welcome it with open arms, and I'm sure the two parties that will be receiving this would welcome it whatever way it comes. So I, I beyond my wildest dreams in terms of money raised, like, but I think you touched on it there, the community spirit. I think it's after giving some people a bit of a boost. It gave them something to kind of to get out and see, without really being able to get involved with it, unfortunately, because if we couldn't have hundreds of people out, but people, it gave them something to say on a Sunday morning. I'll go down to the corner of the road there, and I heard your man, there's this lunatic running around for a couple of hours, so I'll give him a shout, and it was great to see, and it was great. There was, maybe 20 or 30 people lined the village street through Clorina there as I finished. So that was a real, I suppose, a real highlight, and something that I don't think I'll forget anytime soon.
No, fair play to you, as you say, in that community spirit, and you were talking about you didn't know where it was going to finish. It was great that it finished somewhere half suburban anyway, that you weren't out in the middle of the road being picked up by a white van. But tell me, we all know the PPE and the need for PPE, but also one thing we touched on last week is your connection with Limerick Animal Welfare through your girlfriend. And how much help are they going to get from your donation? I'm sure it's huge to them to have money coming in at this stage.
Yeah, so the director, Marion, would have touched on the article in the Limerick Leader, I think last week, that it costs in the region of €60,000 a month to run. And some people may think that an organisation like that get government funding, or they get grants or anything like that. They're completely reliant on Joe Blogs and Mary Blogs to donate money, to donate dog food, cat food, you name it. So €2,000 will go a long way, and like they'll have vets fees. I mean, if people, before my girlfriend Lisa started working there, wasn't really aware of Limerick Animal Welfare, and slowly over time I've really seen the work they do. Like, I mean, if you think of it, that even yesterday evening I saw a post. There was a dog found in Crocora, and by this morning it was reunited with its owner thanks to social media. But okay, that's pretty cost ineffective. But then they might find a stray dog that is, it's severely injured leg or something like that, and that could cost a couple of €1,000 with a vet. So they're going to foot that bill, and they're just relying on if charity things like this, or people just to put their hands in their pocket to pay it. So I'd like to think it's going to go a long way, but it's not going to bring them out of the woods by any imagination. So if people want to, someone suggested to me last week they'd love to run a coffee morning when things are back to normal. I'm sure if anyone ever wants to do any event that will raise a few quid for them, or for any organisation like that, they'd welcome it with open arms. So it's fantastic to be giving them that money in the coming weeks. But I suppose their struggle I'm sure will continue, unfortunately. But at least I think I've done my bit for the time being.
I was going to say that before I leave you go. I won't keep much longer. I know you need to get into your rehab and rest, but your name is familiar to people on Limerick Leader as a freelance journalist that works with us, covered plenty of multitude of sports across the season. So the running reporter. Is that the new title? Are you going to cut down on costs? Are you going to run between venues there on when the club championship comes back for double headers?
I don't think so. I mean, the fact, like, as you well know, the events that you've sent me out to, between rugby matches in UL or Young Munster, in around the city, out to Bruff, we're going to Kilmallock, Newcastle West, covering all the corners of the county. I don't think I'll be capable or willing to run between those venues, but I'm sure my running interest, I think, has peaked now a bit more, and I'll be definitely keeping an eye out for people running marathons and people running events for charity and stuff like that. It's heightened my interest, I think, and hopefully a few more people as
in
well.
terms then, Tom, of 4.5 hours, which is what it took you. I won't say well spent because you'll probably laugh, but from terms of people sitting around at home who might spend 4.5 hours on Call of Duty Warzone or Fortnite, it's something that people can do. Have a thought, get out there, do something, and raise a few quid.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say that people need to go out running or walking for 4.5 hours, but if you want to start with something simple, like I know relatives of mine who may have been inactive in recent weeks, have gone from maybe doing 2 or 3 kilometers of a brisk walk to 4 or 5, and I think that's how sport is. You have to build yourself up. I mean, if you want to be in this part of a team, you're not going to become an inter-county standard hurler or footballer or anything like that overnight. You need to put in the time. You need to build up your fitness. You need to build up your skill level if it's obviously a sport like that. But I think if people want to make use of the fantastic weather we have, I think it's a great way to do it. And personally, I think it's great. It's a great way to clear a head on an evening if you just go out for, even if it's only 25 minutes to half an hour, and maybe push yourself just to places where you didn't think you could go. So 4.5 hours, yeah, won't be doing it in a rush again, but I'm sure I'll be hitting the roads again pretty soon.
Absolutely. Well, great to see you, Tom, and great fair play to you for raising all that money, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us so
Thank you
soon
very much.
afterwards. Appreciate it.
Cheers.